Good morning. How are you doing today? I'm a little tired today. I was up watching the Northern Lights. Wow, were they something? They put on quite the show. Glad you saw them! Exclamation point. I would have thought you'd have long been in bed. Period. Ha ha ha.
By the Russians and the Chinese. I mean, former President Trump told us that the people in Springfield are eating dogs and cats, all right? I mean, he likewise said that FEMA money, our emergency money, instead of helping the people that have been hit by the hurricane, is being used to help illegals. I mean, he just makes it up. And so he is able to spew enough disinformation that the Chinese must be smiling.
As hurricanes continue to ravage the United States, in part due to climate change, former President Trump continues to put out misinformation. But now, even Republicans are calling him out on it. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida Lawman, here on the Midas Touch Network. So yes, as a Floridian, I've gotten used to hurricanes and know they're not caused by space lasers or Democrats trying to influence the vote. They are more the result of the heightened waters, the heated waters in the Gulf of Mexico. You see the latest hurricanes, Helene, you see Milton, and you see the hot water in the Gulf of Mexico. And what causes that? Well, maybe we should do something about climate change. But that's another topic for another day. What we've seen, though, from Donald Trump is that he has made, according to Daniel Dale, the fact checker on CNN, the following false claims. Number one, falsely claiming that $1 billion was stolen from FEMA for migrants and has gone missing. Falsely claiming the federal government is only giving $750 to people who lost their homes. And falsely claiming that there are no helicopters, no rescue in North Carolina. Now, all these lies can be easily debunked, but lies spread like wildfire. And that's the strategy, apparently, as it gets closer to the election, that people won't have the information, especially if they're without power access to mainstream media, and they're just going to hear word of mouth from people who are buying into the conspiracy theories and the falsehoods. Senator Thom Tillis, a loyal Trump supporter, has said that for anybody who thinks that at any level of government, anybody here could have been prepared precisely for what we're dealing with here, clearly are clueless, Tillis said. But right now, I'm out here to say that we're doing a good job. More specifically, here's what Tillis said on CBS News Face the Nation when confronted with Trump's misinformation.
I think that the president is right to say that billions of dollars is being spent as a result of Biden's failed immigration policies and border policies. However, we have the resources that we need. We're going to have to go back and pass more resources. We could have a discussion about the failure of this administration's border policies and the billions of dollars it's costing. But right now, not yet is it affecting the flow of resources to Western North Carolina.
It is not a factor, to be clear. Okay.
Not at this time.
Okay.
So if you're accusing the Biden-Harris administration of politicizing FEMA, Think again, it's again projection. According to CNN, when Trump was president, he actually did divert funding from FEMA for immigration-related programs, the very thing he now falsely accuses Biden of doing. Politico's E&E News also published a report this week quoting a former Trump aide who said Trump had to be convinced to support California with disaster relief for wildfires in 2018 by being shown that there were Republican voters in Orange County. It's always projection, isn't it? There's Mayor Glenn Jacobs. You may know him by his other name, Kane, the professional wrestler from WWE. Yes, he was elected mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. He's a Republican, and he put out a Twitter post. I'm only going to call it Twitter.
Looking for a Canadian regulated broker that can match your drive and ambition? Don't settle for second best. Discover an elevated trading experience with Forex.com, the #1 broker in the U.S., and unlock the tools, platforms, and data you need to realize your...
Two things. To my knowledge, FEMA, nor anyone else is confiscating supplies. Please quit spreading those rumors as they are counterproductive to response efforts. Two, if everyone could maybe please put aside the hate for a bit and pitch in to help, that would be great. Yeah, Glenn Jacobs is not a liberal. He is a loyal Trump supporter. He's MAGA, and he's had enough of the misinformation. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, they say this, but will they call Trump out by name? No, of course not. And you're thinking, well, they say this, but will they actually decide not to support Trump because of this? Of course not. At least not publicly. You know, behind closed doors, behind Trump's back, they say something different. Under their breaths, they say something different. In private conversations, they say something different. And I do think that could be reflected in the upcoming election as the people who are so vocally supporting Trump, who laugh at him behind his back, will perhaps have a difference of opinion when they go into the privacy of the election booth. But regardless, I know it's not a profile in courage that these folks say one thing privately and another thing publicly, but at least now they're trying to combat the misinformation coming from their side of the aisle, even if they won't acknowledge it's coming from their side of the aisle. Mayor Glenn Jacobs does not want to be accused of talking smack about dear leader Donald Trump when a Twitter account said just that, saying Republican mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, to Trump and MAGA, stop spreading lies about Hurricane Helene. Jacobs responded, saying, funny, when I said put aside the hate and pitch in, I was actually talking about keyboard warriors like you, and then hashtag MAGA. And what's really interesting is that prompted Jim Cornette. Those of you who are pro wrestling fans know Jim Cornette, who was a legendary heel manager, meaning bad guy manager, from Tennessee, someone who is never shy about expressing his opinions. Well, it turns out he's actually a big Democrat in real life. And he tweeted at Kane, a.k.a. Glenn Jacobs, saying, F off, Glenn. And he didn't quite use F. That's how Jim Cornette talks. Quit trying to push the criminal MAGA horseshit for your own political gain and actually do something for the country by telling the truth about Trump and his enabling filth. And that's from the legendary and controversial Jim Cornette, who surprised a lot of people after he started his own podcast and revealed himself to be an anti-Trump warrior, a Democrat who is proudly supporting Kamala Harris. It doesn't stop there. State and local officials from both parties, according to PBS, have condemned the conspiracy theories as rumors, saying the focus should be on recovery, not political division and hearsay. Responding to the hoaxes is taking up time that should go toward assisting victims, said North Carolina State Senator Kevin Corbin, a Republican who urged his constituents not to give in to hoaxes. Quote, friends, can I ask a small favor? Corbin posted Thursday on Facebook. Will you all help stop this conspiracy theory junk that is floating all over Facebook and the internet? Please don't let these crazy stories consume you. Okay, well, call out those who are dispensing this nonsense. Call out Marjorie Taylor Greene, who posted on Twitter that, yes, they can't control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. Who's the they? Is it the same Jewish space lasers thing? This is the person who was offended at Laura Loomer's comments. And so it's important when you call out misinformation to call out who is spreading the misinformation and the disinformation, who is spreading the lies for political purposes. It is a step in the right direction when you debunk the lies, but it doesn't show true political courage until you call out the liars by name. That's what we do here on the Midas Touch Network. So when the governor of Tennessee, another Republican, Bill Lee, says that there's a lot of misinformation, citing the claims that Trump's making, he added there's nothing but commitment to serving the people in this state and those who spread that kind of misinformation. It's deeply unfortunate that that's happening. Well, who are the ones spreading that kind of misinformation? I mean, you can identify the misinformation and debunk it, but who's the ones actually spreading it? Representative Chuck Edwards, Republican, who represents hard-hit Western North Carolina, was asked Monday morning on CNBC about the confiscation rumors and called them totally unsubstantiated. Edwards clarified that he was not defending FEMA's broader response, but he added, it's so unfortunate that at a time like this, where we need to be pulling together and being truthful and working on real solutions, we've got some nefarious folks out there that are trying to make a name for themselves or see what they can stir up on social media. Who is this person? Who are the ones doing this, sir? This reminds us of how the Republican officials treated Trump and Vance's claims that migrants in Ohio were eating your cats and your dogs. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican, called those comments garbage, hurtful to a lot of people, and very hurtful to the migrants' children. Springfield Mayor Rob Rue, a Republican, said the conspiracy theories were hurting our citizens and hurting our community. Clark County Commission President Melanie Flax Wilt said the rumors had diverted resources for a literal wild goose chase, damaged the integration of Haitians into the community, and had a negative effect on local businesses that depend on Haitian migrants for labor. Yes, and this certainly is incredibly tragic and completely untrue, said Representative Michael R. Turner, another Republican from Ohio who represents Springfield in Congress and on CNN. This should not have happened. It's been tearing the community apart. Yes, thank you for speaking out about these unnamed sources that are spreading misinformation and lies and tearing the community apart. Who is doing this? Well, it takes courage to call out the leader of your party. And although it's nice to at least try to attack the lies, it only goes so far when you refuse to call out the liars. We'll continue to do so here on the Midas Touch Network. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, aka the Florida Lawman. If you like this video, please leave a comment below and share with a friend. Also, check out our sister channel, True Crime MTN, where I discuss a lot of the hottest true crime cases along with some really great contributors. So check us out over there, and I'll see you here next time.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.
When a kid cold becomes a mom cold, I'll be ready to fight my cold symptoms with Tylenol Complete.
MAGA is furious as Kamala Harris has been doing interview after interview over the last few days, 60 Minutes. She'll be doing The View, was on Stephen Colbert, the Call Her Daddy podcast, and Howard Stern. Now, we're going to look at some clips from the Howard Stern interview, and this has generated so much controversy. Every time that Howard Stern interviews someone and reveals his preferences for left-leaning elected officials, the MAGA people, the Magadonians, the Magapotamians, they come out of the woodwork and they just attack Howard Stern. They go, Howard hasn't been relevant since he went to satellite radio. Or Howard's show isn't funny anymore. or Howard now is just doing D-list interviews. They get furious when Howard says, hey, I don't like what Trump's offering, and here's what I prefer. And in this case, it's Kamala Harris. Now, as many of you know, Howard Stern has expressed publicly he's a fan of the David Pakman Show. I've been listening to Howard for decades, and I think it's fantastic that Howard is speaking out politically. And as I've said before, the marketplace of ideas will determine whether he has an audience. If you don't like what he has to say, if you find it disgusting that he supports Kamala Harris over Donald Trump, just don't listen to him. Vote with your dollars. As you always say, the free market says that you should. I thought that this interview was excellent. Here is a clip of Kamala Harris explaining what it is about Donald Trump that would be such a disaster for women in this country. And she explains it well. Take a look at this.
Something drives me nuts with Obama's presidency. He had the opportunity to appoint someone to the Supreme Court. Mitch McConnell goes, F you, you're not appointing anyone. How can this be? The president could not appoint a Supreme Court justice. I don't want Donald Trump and his party deciding. I don't want Clarence Thomas deciding.
He hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court to do exactly what they did, take away the right of an individual to make decisions about their own body. Like, I ask people to take a step back. Let's just think about it this way. Whatever your gender,
right,
and it's not about abortion. You have basically now a system that says you as an individual do not have the right to make a decision about your own body. The government has the right to make that decision for you. So regardless of how you feel about abortion, think about what that means. You know, the strength of America includes that we have been committed as Americans, it's part of our spirit, to the expansion of rights.
Right.
And for the first time, we're seeing a restriction of rights, fundamental rights, including what could be more fundamental than to make decisions about your own body. And that's what has happened. And Howard, to your point, look, this issue is not about trying to convert people, right?
Right.
Because one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree.
Right.
The government shouldn't be telling her what to do with her body. She will talk with her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government.
This was a very good interview. I encourage everyone to check it out. And what I found most interesting about it, and I'm going to address in a moment that Howard was fawning over Kamala, as some people wrote to me and said, David, it's embarrassing, Howard fawning over. What I thought was really good about this interview is that Kamala Harris's personality comes out, and I think it comes off positively. I experienced this personally when I went to the White House in March, right around the State of the Union, and met with Vice President Harris. And the person I saw there was very different from that which at the time we were getting through media interviews. Now, I think since she's become much better at being interviewed and comes off in a much more personable and sort of erudite, didactic, gregarious, and interesting way. But the Howard Stern interview was very good as far as that went. Here is another clip from this interview. Kamala Harris talking to Howard Stern about leadership and America. And I'll tell you in a moment what I found great about this.
This is not research. Stansberry is research. Imagine it's May 26, 2016. You get a report from a Stansberry research expert saying, for NVIDIA, its steady growth.
To your point, doesn't support our friend Ukraine, doesn't support, therefore, something America should always, and has always, by the way, been a champion of, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity, which means the importance of standing against anyone who tries to take another nation by force.
Right.
That's what we stand for as Americans, that you don't do that. And if you do that to our friends, we're going to stand with our friends. you're getting played. And some would say, look, I grew up in the neighborhood. Some would say you're getting punked.
Yeah.
If you stand in favor of somebody who's an adversary over your friends on principles that we all agree on. And you look at it, it's not only that. He says he's going to be a dictator on day one. Understand what dictators do. They jail journalists. They put people who are protesting in the street in jail.
He said he thinks he wants to go after Jimmy Kimmel, a comedian. He wants to go after Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers. What, even if someone had said years ago when I remember presidential, races, if someone said, "Oh, Kamala Harris isn't a black woman," they would have been out of the. They would have been out of the.
Yeah.
That would have been it. Would have been over. I mean, how do you challenge that?
Well,
What do you do with that?
But back to the point.
So what I think is best there is that increasingly, I don't really like seeing politics as good versus evil, as dark versus light, or some of the ways that politics is framed, I increasingly find distasteful. It is impossible to pay attention to this election and not see the stark contrast between the apocalyptic negative vision being put out there by Trump and the positive vision being put out there by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Later in the show today, I'm going to play clips for you of Donald Trump being interviewed by comedian Andrew Schultz. And one of the things that Trump says is, I don't even think you can say America is great right now. Greatness of a country is a kind of a squishy thing, but there was a time when Republicans would never say that. They would always say, America is great. It's the greatest country, they would say. But maybe there are problems that I would like to solve differently. I don't think Democrats are the best stewards, but America is great. Now it's straight up apocalyptic. America's terrible. We're humiliated. Economy's bad. This is bad. That's bad. Kamala Harris did a really good job of putting out that positive vision. And I think that it was a really great thing. Now, let me briefly address, before we get to healthcare policy, from the interview. There are people who have criticized this interview as a fawning interview. Howard Stern didn't hold back. He was just fawning over Kamala Harris and blah, blah, blah. So listen to me very, very carefully. Howard Stern is not a journalist. Howard Stern is not a reporter. He doesn't pretend to be. He's biased about everything he talks about on his show, in the sense that he's not neutral. If he's talking about a reality show, or he's talking about whether a woman is or isn't attractive, right? The sort of stuff that maybe he was known for some time ago, whatever. The program is a reflection of Howard Stern's opinion. He doesn't pretend to be neutral. Hannity, when he does the same stupid softball interview of Trump day in and day out for years now, he pretends to be neutral and objective when in fact he is not. Howard Stern doesn't do that. He has made it clear, Howard has, that he thinks Trump's a disaster and Kamala Harris is the direction we should go in. And so that's what a news guy. Howard pretends to do news and then in fact does propaganda. Howard has decided, I want Kamala Harris to win. I'm going to say that. He's overtly trying to help her. It's not neutral. And if you don't like it, just like if you don't like the fact that I'm advocating for Kamala Harris to win on this program, I don't have a neutral perspective, you don't have to watch. I don't think that that is a problem with this type of interview. 60 Minutes is different. 60 Minutes claims to be something different. And that's why Trump didn't do it. That's the fascinating part. Kamala Harris did and subjected herself to fact-checking on 60 Minutes. Trump turned around and went home because it would have been too tough of an interview. Now, one just final thing here. There was a very interesting moment. I encourage you to check out the whole interview, but there was an interesting moment during the Howard Stern interview where the topic of Project 2025, Social Security, Medicare, the Affordable Care Act came up, and I want to play a little bit of that for you here.
Like I announced today, what my plan to make sure that Medicare covers at-home elder care, because probably a lot of your listeners are in that sandwich generation.
Oh, my God.
Where they're taking care of young kids and their elder parents.
My mother's 97 years old. I'm not even going to tell you how old I am. I know you think I'm 30, but I am so old, and I have an old mother, 97 years old. The cost is, people don't know this yet. If they're not taking care of somebody elderly, it will bankrupt you.
Absolutely.
It will
right. Or your parent will not get the care they need, or you're going to have to leave your job.
Right.
Which means you're going to reduce your income to, depending on what it is, almost nothing. in terms of your household income, to do what you want to do, which is to give your parent the dignity they deserve with care.
And can you imagine if Medicare is impacted, or Obamacare for that matter?
And
what are
look at
people
what
thinking?
Donald Trump has been talking about for years, and look at his Project 2025. People should Google it. I mean, what they're doing and what he's talking about in terms of attacking Social Security, Medicare, undoing the Affordable Care Act, and which means the insurance companies can come back and deny people with pre-existing conditions. All of this is very real and very much at stake in this election.
What was really good about this part is that Kamala Harris did a good job. And again, this just goes to, she didn't used to be that good at being interviewed. If you go back 18 months, she has gotten way better. She wraps together the connections between access to health care, Obamacare and the legacy of the Obama administration there, Social Security and Medicare, which Republicans would love to cut or privatize, except then they will go, no, we would never do that. It's Democrats who want to cut it, and the connection to Project 2025. She's getting much better at explaining in coherent terms the relationships between a lot of these different political issues. So check it out, and also check out what we're going to look at next, which was a very different interview.
I love my Helix sleep mattress. I've been sleeping on Helix mattresses for years now, which is why I asked them to be a sponsor. You actually take their famous sleep quiz, takes just a few minutes to answer questions about your sleep preferences, body type, sleep position, whether you have back
go ahead and open it up. As you can see, it comes really nice.
Elon Musk has received a great deal of praise for his response to the hurricanes, including free internet for 30 days for those affected by Hurricane Helene. You've heard a lot about Starlink in the wake of the hurricanes, and so people liked it when he put out this tweet saying Starlink terminals will now work automatically without need for payment in the areas affected by Hurricane Helene. And so that's very charitable, and I'm sure very helpful for people in that area. It's also not 100% true, unfortunately, and that sucks. It's not literally untrue that for a month you won't get it for free. You will, but sometimes free isn't free because you will be paying, just not for that month. And so when you go to the Starlink page to redeem this sort of charitable offer, you find out that you have to purchase a Starlink kit. Okay, that is understandable. I guess you need the hardware to actually use their service. The issue is that the kit is $349. And that's a lot of money. And so it's nice that you get a free month's service. But like if you've just been hit by a hurricane and you are desperate to be able to connect to the internet at all to let people know where you are, forking over $349 doesn't really feel like you're receiving charity at that point. Again, it's not that Elon Musk was totally lying or anything, but that's a lot of money. And that's not even the
Ah, nice warm coffee. Alrighty, how much time do we have left? Oop, 9 seconds. Here we go. Blast off. Or tank. What it's gonna be. Well, I guess I haven't seen the number yet, but I guess it must be almost as expected because it really didn't do a lot. Let's have a look. Came in as expected, and PPI month over month was down just a wee bit. Canada, on the other hand, popped in a ton of jobs, and the unemployment rate dropped. Strong employment numbers here in Canada. PPI as expected, basically. All right. That was probably all the excitement now. Probably for the rest of the day, it'll just go sideways. Boy, Bitcoin, it fell off a cliff yesterday. And boy, did it ever come back. Look at that, like $3,000 of back. What a move. I was actually trying to buy puts, or sorry, not buy, sell puts on Bitcoin micro futures, but I didn't get the green light in time, so we missed it. Now we have to wait for it to happen again. Well, that little bullish flurry didn't last very long, did it? Good morning, Aircon. Well, that report didn't really do a whole bunch, did it? Up and right back down. It's looking pretty darn quiet. We're stuck in the value range again, except, of course, for Bitcoin. Bitcoin went off a cliff yesterday and it's come right back up again today. Big surprise. So I'm going to be working this weekend, or actually later today, on what I think will be a pretty good little video on proper stop placement. I can't believe how many people just get themselves smoked by running their stops too tight. So I'm gonna work on that. Yeah, I think that'll be really good. Really, really good. It's just incredible. And also, too, Aircon, let me know any other topics that you'd like covered. I mean, I'm going to be doing, it's just been a crazy week here, but I'm going to start that series of how-to on the FireLines this weekend as well. Well, this is part of it. This is like the first, this proper stop placement. That's like the first one in the series, the FireLine series. So I'd like to really start producing them all next week. And that will be good. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to do the first topic. The first topic will be proper stop placement. What would you like to see after that? You're going to have to help me here, Ericon. I've got my pen and paper out. I'm taking notes. Oh, that's easy enough. That's easy enough too. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, that's a good one. So really, the trade setups, which we're going to do because they're in the PDF. I'll be doing the straddle trade and the break, hold, and go stuff. And when it worked, obviously great, and why it worked, and when it didn't work, and why it didn't work. It's the why that's important. So even though you get the signal, if everything's not if everything else around it's not lining up properly, then it's really not a signal. Everything has to be right. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I'm writing that down. Video version of PDF. All right. Yes, I can do that. I might have to break it down into little bite-sized chunks, though. Otherwise, it'll be an hour long. Again, a little series. Do as a series. Do as series. Series, okay. I'm doing it. I'm in. It's just hard to know what people want or what they need. You know? So it's that's always the challenge. But I know for a fact, having been hanging out in this industry for 40 years, most people get the stop wrong, and that's why a lot of people lose. They're gambling. And when you measure risk and manage the risk properly, now you're a business person. If you just throw a stop in willy-nilly, now you're a gambler. You gotta have that stop placement just right. It's funny. I go and check. I'm a bit of a lurker, or I have been trying to learn what people are doing and what they're watching and what they like and what they don't like. So I go into some of these live streams. Yeah, I go into some of these live streams, and they go, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm going long here, and I'm putting my stop there." And I say to one of my guys or girls, I go, watch, this dude's going to get stopped out in about 30 seconds. Sure enough, wham, right? Their stop hits. Next thing I know, they're all grumbling. So, oh my target just got hit. I got stopped out. And then it went to my target. Well, that's because you didn't put your stop in the right place. Yeah, it's happens. I see it day in, day out, all the time. It's amazing. And it's been like that for eternity. I mean, I've saw the same thing back during the dot-com era and in the 90s. Same thing. I mean, nothing ever changes. But anyway, so I will do that. Aircan, hit that like button. I need likes. I need lots and lots of likes. I know I'm being shameless. But apparently that YouTube algorithm really does get affected by that. Apparently there's a ratio by the amount of people that are watching you and the amount of likes. So now let's see, this market is just totally sideways. I hope we don't have another sideways day like yesterday. Okay, I'll start looking for trade setups. Once we're out of this value range. It'd be really cool to show trade setups live. I'm going to have to get compliance. I don't know if Jeff is in here or not, but Jeff is a broker. He's all licensed up. I gave up my licenses a few years ago. But even back when I did have licenses, I had the Ontario Security Commission call me and say, you can't do that. There's something called the know your client rule. So you just can't go out giving blanket stuff. You know, you can't just say, buy here, sell there. They don't like that very much. But there might be a way around it. And if that's the case, then I can actually call out trades in here. But I have to speak to the compliance first. That would be really cool if I can do that. The other thing too, somebody mentioned, is when you're trading on these prop things, most are all on simulators. So the SEC and the CFTC, NFA, all those regulatory bodies, they kind of, turn a blind eye to it. But if you're trading in the real market, now you're under the microscope, and they watch every move you make. So that's why I gotta see how I can do it without getting myself in big trouble. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, Bitcoin's hovering around its first target. That was a nice move up to there. The other stuff's just in the value range, not a lot happening. Sure thing. Let's have a look at gold. Gold futures or gold CFD? What's your preference? All right, well, let's do it here in the middle. Put those off to the side a wee bit. Hey there, Jeff. How you doing? Futures. All right, we're going to take a look at gold futures. So we'll go here. Delete futures. Gold. Okay, so there we are. Gold's having a good day. So here's our first kind of lesson. So here we have a straddle setting up here at the second. So how I set this up, super simple. Go there. Let's make him green. And make another one. Let's make that red. There we are there. Oh, can't really see them, can you? All right, let's make them lines. There. So the idea with the straddle is the orders that were sitting above the second have now all been filled. They drove it lower, and we have a higher low. And the orders that were placed under the second while it was going up, they're now all filled. So the idea is to go long. Let's see if I have an arrow. There we go. Go long above or short below. Now for me, I'm a trend trader, so I'd be more interested in going long up to the third. If, however, you're really, in tune with the gold market and you can say to yourself, well, no, it's high, right? So that's what makes a market. A buyer has to meet a seller. Then you would short it down to the first, right? So let's do another one here. So we're going to take this arrow. So the bulls want to take it to there, and the bears want to take it to here. And that's how you set it up. And that's it. That's it. So and this is where I want to have that discussion on trend comes in, because how you determine trend tells you whether or not to do this. Also too, it's going to determine your risk. So if you're going to go long here, your risk must be to that level. Here, let me get this brush here. What have we got here? That, if you're going long, that is your stop. Somewhere underneath there. Period. End of debate. Yes, remember, futures are delayed a bit because it's exchange. It's actually the exchange, and they delay the data unless you pay for it. So I'm just showing you this, and then what we'll do is we'll turn it to the CFD, and then you can see it. So that's your stop. Period. End of discussion. If you can't go long here and afford that stop, you'd pass on the trade. Okay. And then conversely, if you're going to short, that's your stop. All right. So let's look at the CFD, and we'll go over here. Where would it be? I don't know. I might have to go to Owanda for that. Let's see, gold. Let's see what they've got for gold. Oh, there's the gold index. I don't see the... Yeah, they're just showing the futures. Bear with me. There's more than one way to get at that. Okay, so let me go just put this back. And I'm going to delete that. And what do I want? Indices, and that's S&P there. I think that's what we had. Yep. Okay, so there's the S&P. We'll put you back to normal. Now, let's see if I can't get the CFD up here. It's coming. It's coming. It's thinking about it. Boy, everything takes forever. We've got all this stuff running around. Okay, gold. Where's the gold? Where's the gold? There's the gold. Okay. Now, the one thing about being on Oanda is I cannot put the CFD on it, or the CFD, what am I talking about? I can't put the FireLines on it because the FireLines are over on TradingView, but we can at least look at it. You can ask me questions about it, so that's all right. And there we go. Now to see, how do I transfer that over? All right, let's try it this way. Let's see if you can actually see it. Let's see. Okay, so I've moved it onto what should be the stream. And it just takes a couple secs. Oh, really? I thought I did that. But let's try it. Okay. And you got a gold CFD doing that, Aircon? Okay, well, let's give it a whirl. All right. I'm all for that. All gold. Oh, I see. Okay. So we want gold against US dollar. I guess that's the one we want. Just see if there's anything else down here. I guess that's the one we want. Okay. There we are. Okay, so look where it went. Okay, so I'll just redraw this super fast. And there's one there. And there's our straddle. So it went to the top of the straddle. There we are. So I'll just quickly paint this up again. So the idea is to go, if that breaks, up to here. And if that breaks, that's to there. And there you have it. That's the straddle trade. But it's big. It's $10 worth of risk. So if you were trading a full-size futures contract, you know, 10 bucks times 100 ounces, that's $1,000 stop. But if you're trading a micro, it's 1/10 that, so of course it's 100 bucks. But if you try to put your stop here, I can almost assure you'll get stopped out. So you have to, and that's where the discussion on trend comes in. So I will do that today and get it out for tonight. I hope. By Monday for sure it'll be done. But I will start working on it today. All right, I'm just going to squish this up just a wee bit because I see the Nasdaq is breaking down to its lower value level. And Bitcoin is just kind of hanging out there. And we'll watch, let's watch and see what gold does. Since we've got the market set right up. Well, Nasdaq just bounced off its lower value level. See, 5 seconds. Here we go. And they're off and running. So are you in this already, Aircon? Are you trading gold? Or just watching it at the moment? All right, well, Nasdaq quickly went from the lower value to the first. That was a pretty easy leap. So now we'll sit and watch and see what Nasdaq does. Okay, cool. Well, there goes Bitcoin shooting up a bit. Bitcoin's on a bit of a run here. See if it makes it up to its second. Yeah, it sure is. And I just noticed here that we had the straddle here again. Let me grab a... So there was the long going above there. And there was the so there it is straddling the line. Because we got a close above it. I mean, it quickly came back, but it did straddle it. Okay, so there's gold. Trying to follow Bitcoin higher. So far, it's pretty boring out here. Not a whole lot happening. Opening range. Always a sketchy time. Look at that Bitcoin coming right back down again. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Well, your gold's doing, yeah, it does. It looks like it might head to it. Yeah, we can see that. Look at your gold there, Ericon. So that's a nice trade. You're up over $2.50. So that's a good trade. So for me personally, I'd be looking to take profit if I had done that. It's that's a nice trade. And now we're just waiting for this Nasdaq to come down here. We don't know if it will yet, but but if the swing traders are happy holding gold, there's your target. But myself as a scalper, I'd have taken the $2. That's a nice. Well done. Yay. That's awesome. I got to do something here. I got to get oop, that's not right. I blew that, didn't I? Yay. There we go. Well done, Ericon. That's awesome. So now the idea is now, okay, so let's just for fun, let's roll this back here. So let's just for the sake of argument say that you're bullish on gold, right? You're bullish. So now what you do is sit there and go, okay, so this is a 5-minute chart. Okay, fine. So you just sit there and let it go up a bit. Maybe it pulls back down. So we want to see this level here now act as support. I'm going to make that so we don't confuse it with a FireLine. We'll just make them like that. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure this holds as support, and then you look to buy again. Or the other thing that scalpers tend to do is they'll knock this down to some crazy number like a 1 minute. And now they're going to look for a break, hold, and go off of this line. So it broke. Let's say, for sake of argument, that it holds. Then they're going to go long here. You can go long here. Boop, like there. And then you in turn go from here to there. So keep working toward, what I'm saying is you keep working. Yeah, they'll be a little different because of the, but I'm just trying to show you how you would actually do this. And anyway, and then work your way up to the third. And that's a really how you can do it. And that's how you can micromanage this stuff. All right, so there we are. Any questions on that, Aircon? Or anybody? That's because there's a few people in here watching. Does anybody have any questions? That's what I'm here for. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, it's all about just working your, once the trend establishes itself, it's just all about working yourself to the next level, or the next trading level kind of thing. All right, so we'll do this. Get rid of that. We'll get rid of these things here. And if anybody has any questions, fire away, because I can always put the lines back on. That's not a big deal. All right. The 1 minute chart is so fast, it makes me dizzy. We'll go back to the 5. There we go. There we are. These other markets are just waffling around. There. That was fun. A little morning lesson. We'll have to do that every morning. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll make a habit of doing that during opening range. So did you do a little micro contract, Aircon? A micro gold or a couple of them, or were you being a BSD and went in full power with a big one? Oh, because it was opening range. That's the only that's the only reason. It was just opening range, and it can get really jumpy in there. But if it had been like, say, 10:15 in the morning Eastern, and that too. It's also Friday. So a lot of the larger institutions and larger traders, they basically square the books and go home. So it can just get kind of jumpy during that opening range. That's the only reason. And of course, the other thing too, don't forget, is there's nothing wrong with going in, taking profit, and then getting back in. And what I tell everybody is, price doesn't dictate where your entry does not dictate whether you're going to make money or not. It's getting the direction right. So many people, I won't call it a mistake, but it's really, really hard for them to get into a position and not take a small profit and then, get back in if it keeps going their way. They think they have to hold it all the time, and they'll hold it into oblivion. During the dot-com era, back then I was licensed. Nortel, which was a huge Canadian company, they made fiber optic stuff and switches and the whole 9 yards. I watched people have $120 stock and they rode it into the ground. They were millionaires and then they had nothing. They just rode it into the ground. There is nothing wrong with taking profit. And when I was training traders at title trading years and years ago, I would say to them, look, if you're walking down the sidewalk and you see $20, are you going to bend over and pick it up? Well, yeah, I think you would. So don't be afraid to take little profits and then get back on. You're going to make, if you have the direction right, you're going to make money. But if you start holding on to things and it's a little sketchy, like up and down, up and down, up and down, you can get yourself really, really hurt. Anybody have any questions on that sort of philosophical trading methodology? All right, cool. And I should also mention, when I talk about jumping in and out, and then I'm talking more about, and more towards the guys doing the prop trading and the girls doing the prop trading, where they are scalping, and that's what they're trying to do. A swing trader would probably still be in here. So without knowing what your trading goals are, that dictates whether or not you're jumping in and out or if you're holding on. They're two different strategies. Boy, everything's got quiet now. Let's see what the top of the hour brings for us. Well, there goes Bitcoin. It's jumping up. So we can see here on the Bitcoin situation, it broke through the upper part of the straddle, and then the straddle became support. And then you see the buying coming in. So that's a good indication that it's going to try at least to get up to its second. Doesn't mean that it will, but it's going to try. And over here, let's go back over here to the gold example. Whoops. So gold, it broke through, came back, but it didn't really close. It quickly got itself back above the straddle level. And it's working its way back up. So it'll be kind of neat to see how this plays out. That being gold, Ericon, well, the trend is up. By definition, the trend is up. But it has become extremely quiet. Very quiet. There. Back. I had to pull a generator out of the shed. Get it gassed up. Who knows when the bad weather's going to hit. Oop, incoming. Hold on a sec. Okay, I'm back. Well, I'm here, but I got a phone call that I had to take. All right, so the S&P hit the first. Bitcoin's almost at the second. Gold is just waffling around. And there we are. We're almost at the second here. Are you still here, Aircon? All righty. Oh, goody, goody. Okay. So that lit right up. Big buy program hit. Yeah, so did I, believe it or not. I was on the phone with a call and I missed it. But let's knock this down to say a 1 minute chart and you'll see it form right at the line. So here it is breaking here, breaks through, comes back, it holds, and then and there's your straddle. Now it's on a 1 minute, so a lot of you scalpers and folks that are doing prop trading, this is very advantageous stuff. This is where these FireLines really, they really come in for timing. There. So now you got your straddle over the upper value level, and boom. So this happened at what? Right at 10 o'clock. Bam, bam, bam. And up she goes. And that stop didn't even get threatened. It just shot up, came down a few points, and then took off. So there you go. So that's how you deal with that. Okay, well, that's cool. No, no. Well, I suppose you could say that, but what it's doing is it's setting up the price. What you're doing, all right, since you've asked that question, I'm going to say no. It is not support. Where's my pointer? It's gone. I've lost my pointer. Oh, there you are. Okay. Oh, my battery just died in my mouse. All right, we'll do it this way. What the straddle is doing is, since these levels are based, they're mathematically generated. They're based on probability theory. They're based on statistics. So the idea is that I'm not the only one running statistical programs. The idea is that once it crossed over, there were orders here. Okay? There were orders. There were buy stops up here and just regular market orders. Once all of the buy stop orders are filled and there is no more buying coming into the market will start to drop to find new buy orders. So down it comes, and it comes back down through this level where there are going to be sell stops. And I don't mean like little individual people. I mean larger institutional traders. So once all of those sell stops have been hit, as well as market orders, then all of that liquidity is now out. So we've taken out the buyers and we have taken out the sellers. If this level breaks to the upside, or this level here breaks to the downside, the only way that can happen is if new orders get placed into the market. Because remember here, all of the buy orders were taken out and filled. Below here, all of the sell orders were taken out and filled. Anything above is new money entering the market. Anything below is new money to sell the market. So does that make sense? That this is what moves markets. It's where the orders are placed. And then so if you understand that, and if you know that, you wait for the market to get swept one way, then let them sweep it the other way. So so that's what this is. And when people talk about support and resistance, what they're talking about is what happened in the past. So in the past, people sold here, or in the past, people bought here. These lines are in the future. As you know, I'm just going to switch this up to say a 1 hour. Okay, so there's our 1 hour. So we have had these lines in existence since 6 o'clock last night, Eastern Time. So we're generating these numbers. We can see here, we're generating all of this stuff before it happens. So what we're doing is we are calculating where the most probable orders are sitting. I know that's kind of hard to get your head around, but that's what I'm attempting to do with this code, is anticipating where algorithmic trading is going to kick in. Any questions on that? Don't be shy, people. If you have any questions, fire away. Okay, cool. Good. And of course, we can see all day yesterday, it just pounding away at that inflection point. Just pound, 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 and the upper value level, pound, pound, pound. And once we got out of the value range, up we go. And Bitcoin's almost at the second, so that's really cool. And there we are. I'll switch this back to the old mighty 5-minute. There we go. Okay. So now what we do, rather than sit here and, and cry in our beer, now all we're going to do is we're going to wait. So the market's being cleared out. The market orders are coming in because this is going up on market orders. So now so we know the market wants to go up, obviously. So now we're going to wait for a pullback. And that's when we look to get back on. Okay, then. Just seeing what's new and exciting over here. Well, gold is heading for new highs. Just thought I'd report on that. Here, I'll just show you. I'll just switch this over to gold for a moment so you can see what it's doing. It was a little jiggly, of course. It was off to a slow start. But there we go. So it's got a high probability now of getting up to its third. We've got Bitcoin. It's almost at its second. And Nasdaq is trying for its upper value level. So there we are. Okay. Okay, I'll get rid of these lines, otherwise they'll get me all confused on the Bitcoin straddle there. Okay, let's go back. Oopsie. I had the wrong one. That one. Back to the bit. This guy. Alrighty. There we are. All back to normal. To go over to this side and get my S&Ps back. There we go. Isn't that funny how the S&P blasted off and the Nasdaq can't even get out of its value range? I suppose we could call that a flight to quality. see Nasdaq has finally made it up to its upper value level. It's been hanging out there now for a while. My hunch is that the markets are going to slow right down now. Well, it would appear people are starting to sell going into the weekend. Well, it's quite the drop.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe the 380 bounce. Yeah, the 380s would be if we wick down below. Man, oh man. Mm.
All right. All right. And you're right. This is FOMO is probably one of the worst and insidious things that can happen to a trader. So let's expand this full power here, shall we? Full power, full size, full size. We go full size here. So here's our S&P, right? Now, and this is all going to come back around to this video that I'm going to make today, the first one about trend determination. So the first thing, let me just say this. Notice how markets, they go up and they come back down. Then they go up and they come back down. And they go up and they come back down. Up, down, right? Nothing ever is a straight line. Okay. That kind of goes without saying. But I'll tell you what does happen and what does cause this. A big move like this is very, very much emotional. A market cannot move vertically like this, or tank for that matter, without market orders hitting it. So if the market was just sitting at its bid and its ask, and nobody hit the bid or the ask, the market wouldn't move. Right? Makes sense? Okay. I'm assuming you heard that. Okay. So if that is what's happening, then it's market order, market order, market order, buy, buy, buy. I got to get on, buy, 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 buy. And then it hits a point, like what we were talking about earlier, that there's no more buying. The market orders have stopped hitting the market. No more market orders to get filled. So price comes down. Boom, boom, boom. So all of the excited people that wanted to get long all got long here. Market comes down, in this case, comes down to our second. It gets supported. Now, kind of just like when we were talking about the straddle trade, now people have had time to assess. And they go, okay, this is new money coming in, because all of the itchy trigger fingers and the FOMO people, market orders, emotional decisions were being made here. Now it's calculated. So this is typically, so the selling ends and buying interest now comes in. It must be new money. It has to be, because everybody else is in that wanted to get in. They got in here. This is new money. So now, in order to propel this higher, of course, it has to get above here. And we do have a lower high, or a lower, we have a higher low. So that's good. We do see the uptrend continuing. That's kind of goes without saying. But if you're going to buy, and we're going to get into this in the video, you needed to have been down here at the second target. Because if you start seeing it rally up, you're going to get FOMO, and you're going to buy here. Well, there might not be any more buyers to propel this higher, because most of them all got brought in here. And that's what we see time and time again. So it's much, so I know that sounds weird. And this is where the fire lines really come in too, is up, 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 up. That's where you buy down here. Wait for the buying to come back in. Like here, say that's a green candle. Boom. Because now this is where it comes back to risk management that we were talking about. All you have to do at this point, if you buy here, your stop is there. You FOMO in up here somewhere, right? If you go FOMOing in there, your stop is still there. You cannot change the stop. It has to be there. Otherwise, anything between here and there is going to get knocked out, as we're seeing here. So that is the insidious nature of FOMO. But the lines are going to give you structure. Yes. And because you're in an uptrend, you have a high probability of profit. So let's say you got in here. Let's say you got in somewhere around here, right? And you're going up, 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 and you're expecting it to get up to here. That's your initial target. But you get up here and you start to see, oh, it's starting to fail, right? It's breaking down. It's not making, this candle is not making a new high. We're backing off. The very, very worst that's going to happen to you is you're going to get out at break even, right? So look, anybody that FOMO'd in here, they all got stopped out because they did not put their stop down here. The smart ones did. But now that's your problem, right? Like if you had FOMO'd in here, where do you put your stop? That's a long way down, right? You're talking about a 9-point stop. Okay, any questions? Fire away. Yeah, and that's the thing. If that's where FOMO kills people for that reason. And as you can see, it's backing right off. Yeah, it's when I used to speak to traders, I said, it doesn't need to be emotional. It doesn't need to be. If you think about it from a practical standpoint, when you think about it, where are the orders sitting? And the other thing I would say is what we are looking at is emotion. And we're trying to interpret emotion. So when this gets going, even you just fell victim to it yourself. You just admitted working on that FOMO trigger finger, right? That's an emotional response. So the first thing I used to do when training traders was get them to think in a more, I'm going to say logical way, but in a more structure of the market way. And by that, I mean the participants and what they're feeling, what their emotions are. Because we don't know what sent this thing up. We have no idea. It could be a mass panic. It could be half of the market was short. And now they're getting stopped out. Get me out, get me out. Oh, I'm losing my shirt here. I'm short. I'm getting killed. Right? And then they're all flat. And now we wait to see. So it's putting things in perspective from where the orders are sitting and the emotional makeup of the market. So I will leave that with you to sort of sit on. But this was emotional. This rally, emotion. This rally, calculated. Exactly. And that is the trick, Ericon. That is the trick. When all of a sudden you can give yourself a logical explanation for what you're seeing, it makes a whole lot of sense, because trading is not hard. It really isn't. But it needs to be pointed out that this is what's happening. This is what's causing this. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that. But it's nice to have somebody that's actually going to listen to you, you know. You try to tell, but most people wouldn't. They go, just punch in, punch in. Well, they're gambling. They're gambling. And that's okay too. You know, if they have another source of income. But if you're a professional trader and this is how you're going to make a living, you can't just go sitting there all willy-nilly. You know, you got to have some semblance of discipline. Get rid of all this stuff here. See, and we're getting the same behavior here on the Nasdaq. Here, it went up to the upper value level. Couldn't really get through it. Oh, I'm sure you will. Oh, good job. Excellent. Tell people about the FireLines. Tell them to come over here and join us. Shameless plug, I know. But then again here, just to kind of go back, yeah, the Nasdaq. So it went up there and blah, blah, blah. And then it did what the S&P did, right to the upper value level and then right back down again. So same idea. That's the thing about markets. They do the same thing every time. Because human beings never change. All right. Well, London's going to close in a couple of minutes. So why don't we just call it a day? if you're going to head out there, I've got a nice sunny day. Are you finished trading for the day, or I'll hang out with you if you're thinking of doing something else? Personally, I think it's all wedging up, but excellent. Well, great trading, Aircon. You have a safe trip to wherever to the conference, and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you Sunday night or Monday. Yes, I'm going to start working on them. Yes, but I'll definitely get that one out on risk, and it'll be very similar to what we just went through, only a little more. All righty. We'll chat soon. Bye.